What if one of the most quoted lines from the waves isn't insight at all, but failure? I am rooted, but I flow. It sounds complete, balanced, finished, the kind of sentence people extract, underline, and carry with them. But read it again, slowly. Something in it doesn't settle. The usual reading is almost automatic. The line is taken as a kind of synthesis, stability and change, held together. A self that is grounded, yet open, fixed, yet evolving. It's treated as wisdom, a resolution to the problem of identity. And that reading feels plausible, because the sentence sounds composed. It has symmetry. It feels deliberate, almost aphoristic. But that confidence might be exactly what the novel is designed to undermine. Start with a single word. But, not and, not while. But. The sentence doesn't join two states. It opposes them. I am rooted asserts stability, but I flow cancels it. The structure isn't harmonious. It's adversarial. And that matters, because Virginia Woolf is not careless with conjunctions. In a novel where consciousness is built out of fragments, where rhythm, repetition, and syntax carry meaning, the smallest hinge word does real work. So the question becomes unavoidable. Why would a sentence that is supposed to resolve identity be built on a contradiction? To answer that, you have to zoom out, not to plot, but to form. The Waves doesn't give you stable individuals. It gives you voices that bleed into each other. 6 speakers, yes, but their boundaries are porous. Their language echoes, overlaps, dissolves. You're never allowed to fully separate one consciousness from another. And time doesn't stabilize anything either. It doesn't move forward in a clean narrative line. It expands and contracts. It's marked by cycles, light rising, light fading, not by events that anchor identity in cause and effect. In that kind of structure, the idea of a fixed self is already under pressure. So when a voice says, I am rooted, the claim doesn't land on solid ground. It lands in a text that has been quietly dismantling the conditions required for that statement to be true. Rooted in what? A continuous identity? The novel fractures it. A stable memory? The voices circle, repeat, revise. A distinct self? The language refuses to keep them separate. The assertion doesn't confirm stability. It reaches for it. And then the second half arrives. But I flow. That word, flow, is often read as liberation, movement, becoming. But in the Waves, movement is rarely controlled. Consciousness doesn't progress cleanly. It drifts. It slips sideways. Thoughts don't arrive. They circle. Language doesn't clarify. It approximates. Flow here is not mastery. It's exposure. To flow is to lose the boundaries that would make rootedness meaningful in the first place. Which means the sentence is doing something more unstable than it first appears. It isn't balancing two truths. It's trying to hold together two conditions that undo each other. And this is where the line shifts from insight to symptom. Because the sentence doesn't resolve the contradiction. It contains it. I am rooted, but I flow. The speaker asserts coherence, then immediately destabilizes it. Not in separate moments, in the same breath. This isn't synthesis, it's strain. A linguistic attempt to produce a self that the novel has already made impossible. And once you see that, the tone of the line changes. It no longer sounds confident, it sounds defensive. So the line isn't wisdom, it's resistance. A voice insisting on identity in a text where identity is constantly dissolving. The but doesn't reconcile two states. It reveals that they cannot be reconciled, that the speaker is trying to stabilize something that won't hold. And that reframes the entire sentence, not as a philosophical truth, but as evidence. Evidence of a consciousness under pressure, trying to speak itself into coherence, failing but continuing anyway. Which means the real blind spot isn't in Woolf's writing. It's in how we read her. We want the sentence to resolve, to offer balance, to feel complete. Because we want the self to feel that way too. But the Waves doesn't give us that comfort. It gives us something sharper, a voice that says, I am, and has to keep speaking immediately to prevent that statement from collapsing. I am rooted, but already I flow. Not a solution, a sentence that almost holds, and then doesn't.